Forget the Star Trek musical and crossover. This was Strange New Worlds Season 2's most fascinating episode. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2 delivered some of the franchise's boldest swings yet. An unexpected musical, a dimension-hopping crossover with Lower Decks, and several character-driven bottle episodes that pushed the boundaries of what a Star Trek show can do. But amid the spectacle, the songs, the Easter eggs, and the tonal experimentation, one episode stands apart as the most fascinating of the season. Not the most explosive, not the funniest, and not even the most emotional, just the most unexpectedly rich. That episode is Among the Lotus Eaters. While it arrived early in the season and lacks the marketing buzz of its louder siblings, Among the Lotus Eaters quietly becomes Season 2's most boldly philosophical and mythic entry. It strips the crew down, literally and metaphorically, to their core identities, challenges the very foundation of what it means to be a Starfleet officer, and reaches back into Captain Pike's tortured past in a way no other episode does. In a season defined by genre shifts, this one doubles down on classic Star Trek, an away mission, a moral dilemma, a mysterious alien effect, and a deeply human question at its heart. And that question is simple but profound. If you lost every memory that makes you you, would you still choose to be the person you are? A return to Rigel VI and to Pike's greatest failure. Among the Lotus Eaters is the rare Strange New Worlds episode that looks backward, both for Pike as a character and for Star Trek as a franchise. Rigel VI was first mentioned all the way back in the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage, where Pike's disastrous mission led to crew deaths and left him so shaken he considered resigning. It's a foundational trauma, one that shaped him long before the knowledge of his future accident did. Season 2 revisits that location, revealing that the previous mission had consequences Pike never understood, including survivors changed by alien technology. This instantly sets the episode apart. Instead of the usual Trek forward march, it deals with old wounds, unfinished business, and the long-term effects of Starfleet intervention. Pike returns to Rigel VI not as a conquering hero, but as a man haunted by the fear that he left suffering behind. The entire hour plays like a meditation on guilt, how we carry it, how it shapes us, and what's left when guilt is stripped away. Identity under siege. The forgetfulness field as a philosophical weapon. The episode's central conceit, the radiation that causes anyone on the planet to rapidly lose their memories, is deceptively simple. On many shows, this would be a plot device for comedic hijinks or temporary drama. Strange New Worlds uses it to ask something far more potent. Are our identities something we perform, or something intrinsic we gravitate toward even without context? Pike, La'an, and M'Benga each experience memory loss differently, but a pattern emerges. Pike instinctively protects others. La'an instinctively becomes a soldier. M'Benga instinctively becomes a healer. Their training, their history, their trauma gone, but their purpose remains. They are drawn back to who they are as if by gravitational pull. It's not just a sci-fi obstacle, it's almost mythic storytelling. The episode becomes a psychological, archaeological dig. Strip away the layers, the experiences, the badges, the scars. What core remains? The answer reveals something profound about the Starfleet ideal. It's not just a job, it's a moral orientation. A fairy tale in Starfleet uniform, Among the Lotus Eaters, is also aesthetically unlike anything else in Season 2. While the musical dips into Broadway energy and the crossover leans into animated chaos, this episode chooses symbolism and fable. Rigel VI feels like a medieval kingdom layered onto a crashed Starfleet mission. Stone courtyards, ritualistic armor, forgotten relics of technology, and a ruler whose power literally depends on the erasure of memory. It's a story that would be at home in ancient mythology, a land where people forget who they are, a tyrant who keeps control through enforced ignorance, a hero who must remember himself without memories, a journey to destroy the source of magical amnesia. Even the title echoes Homer's Odyssey, in which the Lotus Eaters live in a state of blissful forgetfulness. That intertextuality isn't subtle, it's the point. Starfleet officers are Odyssean heroes, resisting the temptation to abandon their mission for peace through ignorance. Among the Lotus Eaters reframes Pike as a star-traveling Odysseus, navigating trials that test inner resolve rather than phaser accuracy. The Pike-battle relationship takes center stage. Pike's romance with Captain Battle threads throughout Season 2, but nowhere is it more emotionally grounded than here. Their argument before the mission is raw, personal, and painfully mundane, not a cosmic misunderstanding, but a very human conflict about priorities and emotional distance. What makes the episode remarkable is how it resolves that conflict through memory loss. Stripped of guilt about duty, stripped of Starfleet pressure, Pike begins bonding with Battle a second time, intuitively, instinctively. It implies he would choose her even without knowing her. That's not just romantic. It's thematically elegant. The episode says, love, too, can be a core identity. By the time Pike regains his memories, the reconciliation feels earned, not scripted, because the episode allowed them to fall for each other again under the most impossible circumstances. Ortegas's arc, a subplot that becomes a quiet triumph. Some episodes give Erica Ortegas flashy pilot heroism. Here she gets something more valuable, a quiet, grounded story about self-worth. When she forgets who she is, she must choose whether to trust Pike's belief in her abilities, and ultimately, she rediscovers her identity not through memory, but through action. It's subtle but important. Identity is as much about what you do as what you remember. Ortegas's final choice to pilot the Enterprise despite overwhelming fear becomes one of her standout season moments. It's small-scale bravery, but deeply human. Why this episode outshines the musical and the crossover. The musical was innovative. The crossover was delightful. But both episodes rely on novelty, genre experimentation, franchise synergy, and high-concept premises. Among the Lotus Eaters, meanwhile, achieves something rarer. A story that is simultaneously foundational, philosophical, and character-driven. It reshapes Pike's arc, deepens secondary characters, and roots itself in Star Trek canon without being consumed by it. Here's why it stands apart. 1. It's the most purely Star Trek episode of the season. It's cerebral. It's ethical. It involves a strange phenomenon that forces characters to confront themselves. No gimmicks, just timeless sci-fi storytelling. 2. It tackles identity in a way no other Season 2 episode does. Memory loss stories have been done before, but rarely with this level of introspection or thematic cohesion. 3. It elevates Pike's character arc. The episode lets us see Pike without the burden of his foreknown destiny, and ironically, that absence reinforces how heroic he truly is. 4. Its emotional beats feel earned. Especially Pike and Batel's reconciliation, which becomes one of the season's most authentic moments. 5. It leaves lasting consequences. Unlike the musical or crossover, which, while entertaining, don't deeply reshape anything, this episode shifts Pike's emotional direction heading towards Season 3. The real heart of Strange New Worlds. Season 2 is a kaleidoscope of tones, whimsical, tragic, operatic, silly, triumphant. But if there's one episode that captures the spirit of Star Trek at its best, curious,